Dadhood. Modern Dadhood podcast.
There we go.
Better.
Mark,
Yes.
why has it been so long? Where have we been?
Show me life.
Ding, 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 ding.
I think it's just been life, man. I think there's just been stuff going on.
Work, family,
things,
things, ordeals, podcasts,
parents.
Yeah. Let's get into this episode, our Father's Day 2025 episode of Modern Dadhood.
This is Modern Dadhood, a podcast that is an ongoing conversation about the joys, challenges, and general insanity of being a dad in this moment. My name is Mark Checkett. I'm a dad to twin boys who are 7 years old. We're coming up at the end of a school year, too, which is kind of a crazy thought. I can't believe we're here already, but they're about to be done with first grade.
They were just going into kindergarten.
They were just inside the womb. What about you, man? Who are you?
My name is Adam Flaherty. I'm a dad to two daughters who are 11 and 8. And my oldest is going into 6th grade, dude. 6th grade and 3rd grade. I mean, mind-blowing, right?
Yeah. 6th grade. What do they say? The years... What do they say? The years fly by, but the minutes drag on?
Yeah. There's the Eagles lyric, right?
Love that band.
Eagles of Death Metal?
Much better band. A much better band.
For people who are just maybe just catching on to Modern Dadhood, we want to welcome you. We're glad you made your way here. This Father's Day episode is a great one to start with, I think. You can find all episodes of Modern Dadhood on our website, moderndadhood.com, or wherever podcasts can be found. That's places like Apple, Spotify, Amazon
Music,
Pocket Casts, right?
Overcast? Is that
Overcast, Hark Audio. Find us there. And if you like what you're hearing, you could subscribe wherever you listen or follow and leave us a review. But probably most importantly, the biggest way that you could help us
this is big. I know
would
it's
be
gonna be big.
This Father's Day weekend, tell a friend about the show or text it to a friend even. That's how we grow. Two quick things I want to plug. I currently am on the newest episode, guesting on the newest episode of a podcast called Mom's Guide to Finding Herself with Chrissy Bold.
Amazing.
And it was a great chat. And I'm going to be on her next episode as well. You can listen to Mom's Guide to Finding Herself on all the podcast platforms. I'll add a link in the show notes as well. And the other thing is that my two girls were featured on this great podcast, kids podcast called Story Pillar, which is super cute. And I'll link to that in the show notes as well. And a shout out to Meg for making such a fun podcast for kids.
Oh man, I can't wait to hear that. I can't wait to hear you on that show, but I'm a little bit more excited to hear your kids on that podcast.
Mark, can we be honest with each other for a minute?
Only for a minute.
Will you be honest with me for a moment here? You're not going to listen to Mom's Guide to Finding Herself starring me, are you?
I 100% am. Am I going to probably skip through it a little bit?
Are you going to feed it into AI and ask for a summary in 10 bullet points?
What the hell was this about? Give me the top 3 takeaways, please.
It's a great podcast, but I wouldn't blame you at all if you didn't want to hear my voice. You hear it way too much as it is.
No, I support you no matter what. So
thanks, buddy. So the next part of the show is I think where we mention our guest, and this one is a very personal one for me. The guest for today's episode is my own dad. Here's why it's interesting, because we've now been doing this show for 5.5 years, coming up on 6 years. And many, many times it's crossed my mind having my dad on as a guest. Kind of a no-brainer, right? It makes sense to do it, to talk with my own father about fatherhood and his experience raising kids. But it's something that I've also, for whatever reason, shied away from.
Yeah, I mean, I can, yes, it's a no-brainer, but also, yes, I can see being a little sort of hesitant almost to go there. If it were me, I think it would be similar in the sense that I never had like really truly too many like deep conversations with my dad. Never really exploring the topic of fatherhood. I mean, my dad, he passed away, unfortunately, a few years before I became a dad, which is something that's always bummed me out that I couldn't share that version of my life and who I have become with him. But just trying to put myself in the position, I think it would be a hard sort of line to cross or hurdle to go over, to sit down and truly have like an in-depth conversation with him about it. But yeah, I also think that you're right, that if you don't do it, then you might come to regret not having taken the opportunity,
I will say for listeners, yes, this conversation will be specific to my family in a lot of ways, but I think it will be relevant and applicable to a lot of people. And my hope is that it inspires others to do the same, to take advantage of those opportunities while you have them. Because as you and I both know, Mark, your parents aren't around forever. And it's very easy to put off things like this. It's invaluable to have this type of thing. So with that, I guess in honor of our Father's Day 2025 episode, we will just go ahead and transition to my conversation with my dad, Tom Flaherty.
My name is Thomas S. Flaherty, Jr., and my date of birth is January 20th, 1942.
Tell me what you remember about when you and Mom first met.
Well, we were in high school together at Portland High School in Portland, Maine. And when we graduated, I was a year ahead of her. I and some boyfriends that I had at Portland High School all went into the military. I went into the Air Force. I was a communications operator, and I was over in London, England. However, Nancy got pregnant just before I left to go to London. And I got a call from my mother. Nancy is pregnant. Get back here and marry her. And I got permission from my superiors to come back for 3 or 4 days. We got married, and I went back to London. She ended up having our first child January 23rd of 1963.
So you were married in 1962. So first one was in January of 63.
Yes.
And then December of 63. And then April of 67.
Yes, correct.
So did you plan to have 3 kids in such close proximity? What kind of conversations were you having as you were planning your family and your future?
Well, our second child was born 11 months after my first child.
Irish twins, they call it.
Irish twins, and
11 months apart. So after my oldest brother, Tom, was born, was it Mom that wanted to go right for another one just a couple of months after the birth?
I'm not so sure. I don't know if we planned on that or not, but we had our third child in April 16th, 1967, and that was it. We had the three children to raise. We moved around a little bit. We didn't have a lot of money.
What do you remember about that time?
I was still on the police department in Portland. My dad was also there. After I got out of the service, I went right there and was there for 7 or 8 years and just could not make enough money to properly make my family content and happy. And I took a job in the concrete industry as a salesperson. And I was in that industry in different companies for, many years, and made the money that I needed to make to cover everything and go on from there.
In those early days, in the 60s, 70s, were you the only one bringing in income into the family?
Yes, I was, and until Nancy took a course in nursing. She went on to get her nurse practitioner license, worked for the city of Portland for quite a few years, and they were very fond of her. She was excellent with the homeless people in particular. And she was pleased to bring those checks home.
So in the early days before she became a nurse and you were working and bringing in the income, you said you had to switch jobs in order to make a higher salary to support the family. She was home with all of my siblings, all the kids. What do you remember about your involvement as a dad?
Well, there were periods of time where I would be working nights. I'd need all the rest I could get. And that kind of put me out of the picture of associating with the family. I was always into jobs and busy with jobs. But I did. I do remember, making time to go to their ball games. I think the children got plenty of attention, mostly from Nancy because I was not in sight a lot of the times. I was tied up working, so on and so forth. But we always had a good relationship. That's the way it went.
Thinking back to your childhood, you're the oldest of 7.
Correct.
It was similar in some ways, right? In that your dad, my grandfather, was also a police officer.
Right.
And was working long hours and overnight shifts and wasn't
Correct.
all that present, right? It was Nanny, your mother, who really devoted herself to raising you and your siblings.
And my mother was with us all the time, made sure we ate plenty, made sure that we had everything we needed.
So now I want to fast forward to the early 80s. You had 3 kids who were in their mid to late teens, so graduating high school, getting ready to go to college, becoming more independent. I think the idea of having another baby at that point, when your kids are that old and at that stage of life, would be really daunting or overwhelming to a lot of people. So tell me about your and Mom's thought process about wanting to have another kid. Am I right in remembering that you were talking about maybe adopting?
Yeah, there was some talk about that, but...
Do you remember if it was her really pushing for wanting another kid, or if it was something that you decided together?
I had developed a habit of drinking too much, and it got real bad real fast. And Nancy said, "I can't take this anymore. Either you stop right now, or I'm taking the 3 children and getting out of here." And I heard her loud and clear. And so I did. I stopped drinking 43 years ago and haven't had any since. And after I stopped drinking, just shortly, a year and a half maybe, she had you.
So was the decision to have another kid then tied to the issue of drinking or the decision to stop drinking? What's the connection there?
I think that when I stopped, she trusted me. We fell in love again, if I can put it that way. And a year and a half later, there was Adam.
It's almost like I don't want to put words in your mouth, but almost like a way to initiate a new phase of life and mark that substance abuse, alcohol abuse is a thing of the past.
Yes. Anyway, when Adam was born,
that's me for listeners.
That was just a great gift. And I had another gift that came along with that. When Adam's first little girl was born, she was born on my birthday, January 20th, and Adam's birthday, January 20th. So there's three of us with the same birthday, and that is a gift. That's a gift.
I was born on your 41st birthday, and she was born on my 31st birthday. So on your 41st birthday, Mom was 38, almost 39. Tell me what you remember about taking a newborn home from the hospital.
Oh, it was fantastic. It was fantastic. Nancy was delighted, and I was delighted that she was so happy and that I was so happy.
Do you remember the sleepless nights and just exhaustion of having a newborn at the house?
No, it was quite easy. It was quite easy. We were older and we could do a lot more things than young people are able to do when they have newborns. And it's just hugged this family right tight ever since then.
So you and Mom were at a different phase of your life when I was born than when all my siblings were born. Can you think about how raising me in the 80s was different from raising my siblings, just in terms of your perspective as the father?
Yeah, I was more there as I was available and around when the older children were growing up. So there was a difference there.
One of the things that we talk a lot about on the podcast, Mark and I, is how the idea or the role of the father has changed and evolved so much over the decades. So how do you think that your version of being a father is different from what you experienced having him as a father?
I was more present for the children. My father had 7 children, and my mother just catered to him as much as she catered to the children. And when she wanted quiet while he sleeps, she saw that there was quiet, and she treated him like a king. He didn't like a lot of noise. He didn't like a lot of playing. He didn't like a lot of that stuff. He just wanted to eat, get dressed, and head out to work.
So he didn't want much involvement with the kids?
I never saw that he did. You know, we all loved him, and we all loved my mother. And when she said, "Keep the noise down, your father's sleeping," would immediately do it.
Were you afraid of him?
No.
Were you afraid of her if you acted up while she was telling you to keep quiet?
Oh, no. No, her voice would just get a little bit louder. But she wasn't a mean lady at all, ever, ever, ever.
And I wonder, looking at the ways that my siblings have raised their kids and that Sarah and I are raising our girls, what are things that you see in the ways that Todd, April, I are raising our kids that are different than how you parented?
When I think about it, I think that today you and the other children with children have the money to do things that we could never do when I was growing up. And I think that you're able to give your children anything they want, and you're able to, well, you're in a good position because you can be with your children as much as you want. You and your wife make time for those two children that you have. And they've had a pretty free life. They've done everything they want to do. You take them to places where they haven't been, and you're tight, very tight family, very tight.
So you have gone through a bit of a rocky patch lately with your health, and we're all really grateful that you're improving so well. But what is it like needing the support of your kids to help you do things that you've done yourself forever?
It feels like I have 100% backing from my family. I need something, and they're there. And that's a blessing, a blessing. They don't shy away from me. They're all here all the time to see what they can do to help. And my health will improve. And once it does, it'll be wonderful. And it will give, my family members a break, not to have to worry about their father.
Do you think that it speaks to the love that you and Mom showed us and continue to show us, that we all stick together and work as a team, even though there's plenty of things that as siblings we don't have in common or necessarily agree on, that we stick together as a family and will always support you in however you need? Do you think that is a reflection of what you and Mom gave to us?
Yes. Yes, and we got it right back from you.
My last question is, what would the perfect Father's Day look like for you in 2025?
I'd like to look out the window at that tall tree there. Must be 30 feet. I'd like to see myself climbing halfway up.
I would love to see that too. In fact, I would pay a lot of money to see that happen on Father's Day.
No, Father's Day is a day where you really have to appreciate what you have in life and the family you have in life. And this has been a good one.
Thanks for doing this, Dad.
You're welcome.
I love you.
I love you too.
You got something that we can toss to now before we close out this episode?
I might have a recurring segment under specifically so that's a thing now.
What's a thing in the Checkett household?
Your kids bring home like slang words, right?
Oh, hell yeah. I'm getting a lot of Riz lately. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Really? We've talked about bruh before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, there's a few words. I hesitate when I say words that have sort of worked their way into the vocab here at the house. Ooh. And there's two in particular that like they started saying skibbity, right? Like,
barf,
and yeah, it's whatever. They started saying sigma, but that too is kind of like whatever. But there's two in particular things. One maybe is not so much slang, but two things that they've picked up from friends at school that they say here around the house that are absolutely grating. And I have an issue with them and I find it hard to deal with. One, out of nowhere, they recently started saying gyat. Are you familiar with this?
I don't think I've heard it from my own kids, but I have heard it in other contexts, but no clue what it means.
No, you have no clue what it means.
No.
If you had to guess what it means, what would you guess?
Well,
Have you
is
heard
it like
in context?
Is it like an acronym? Does those letters stand for
No,
something?
it's not an acronym. So
Enlighten me.
gyat is used like an exclamation. Okay. And specifically, it's like if you see, I guess, if you see someone who is attractive with a large butt, you might express your admiration by saying gyat.
So it has to be, the excitement has to be attributed to somebody's physical appearance?
Specifically the butt. But yes, that's, I believe, its origin.
So is this like right out of the gate, this feels like sexual harassment?
Sure. Yeah. And my kids, I think that they think it's used. I think that they think it's a noun that one can use in place of the word butt. Yeah. There's a lot going on. And I just don't think that 2 7-year-old white boys from New Hampshire should be walking around saying gyat.
Absolutely not.
But somehow they are, and I hear it and I'm like, oh my Lord. Like, that's one. The other one is, have you heard, can I get a ho yeah? You heard that?
No, but it reminds me of that Chi-Hoo song from Moana 2. Can I get a Chi-Hoo? You know what I'm talking about?
I've not seen Moana 2.
I didn't see it either, but my kids put the soundtrack on it. Can I get a what? What is it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you know what? Is that a reference to the guy on the Sus King?
I think the origins of this one are innocent enough, right? I think it was like a teen type kid sitting and saying, can I get a ho yeah? And then out of nowhere, his friend just like leaps off like the staircase and like just fucking nails the ground. And then he says, ho yeah. And somehow it took on this, like, I don't know how these things morph. Okay. And evolve over time, but somehow it kind of came this thing where it's like this just gross, like sexual moan thing that happens. And that's the version of it that like my kids, again, 7-year-old boys, like picked up somewhere at school. Mm-hmm. And it's become such a part of their, like, I guess, vernacular that it almost comes out without them even like realizing it. It's just, they'll be just like playing games, they'll be playing like Minecraft and we'll say something and one of them will just be like, oh yeah. Ooh. And it's so fucking grating. And I really don't want it to be happening.
Well, and they have no idea. That's the problem is that especially when stuff like it starts coming out subconsciously, just like naturally, they're not even thinking about it. That means it can happen in public, right?
Yes.
And when other people have no idea that they have no idea the implications of a sound like that, that's where it gets fucking weird.
Totally. And every time they do it, I just get this pang, this like mixture of these, like, I hate it. It's gross.
Yeah.
I obviously don't want them to be doing it, but I'm in this where I'm like, I can't really explain to them quite yet, like what it is about that sound, the sound in particular, that they're doing and why they shouldn't, and it's gotten to this point where like for a little while, I was really like, every time they would do it, I would say, you can't do that. Like, if you do that again, you're going to have to take a little break. But after a while, they were like, but why? And the best I could come up with was, I can't tell you why, because I'm asking you not to.
It's like you need to do something about it, but like, what can you do to fix it or to stop it without drawing more attention? It's like, it's a never ending cycle.
It's a never ending cycle. I just hope the next slang term and or meme thing that takes over is less of a gross, offensive thing.
Yeah. Less sexual in nature.
Yes, please.
Well, those are things now in the Check It House.
Those are things now going on in the Check It household. So, yeah.
Well, there's our Father's Day episode, Mark. Before we rush through our closing credits. Give me a 15-second version of what an awesome Father's Day looks like for you in 3 bullet points.
Easy. Minecraft. It's coffee, Minecraft, and then coffee, and then Minecraft, and then
Repeat.
coffee, and then Minecraft, and then I'll probably have a snack somewhere in there, like a meat stick, something to just like keep going, and then a little bit more Minecraft, and then maybe I'll just switch to like a nice juicy IPA and play a little bit of Minecraft.
Are the kids playing with you, or are they watching you, or are they in a different place?
My who? I think they're not here for most of it.
Okay.
If I'm being honest, I do enjoy playing with them. For the record, I enjoy playing with them, but my world needs a little attention. Okay. And a little focus.
Yep.
So,
and they provide a little distraction.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's all. I'm just asking for 24 straight hours of uninterrupted Minecraft.
Yep.
What about you?
I hope you get that. For me, I'm thinking coffee. I'd like to do some fishing, maybe some swimming in the ocean.
Oh, dang.
I want to visit with my dad a little bit, and that's what's on my list.
Well, listen, folks, thanks for joining us for another wandering episode, potentially, of Modern Dadhood. Don't forget to, subscribe wherever you listen, be it Apple Podcasts, Amazon, Spotify, Hark. What are the other ones?
Yeah, you got them all.
And wherever you do listen, leave us a rating or a review, or just listen and then go and tell a friend out there IRL. Where else can you find us? Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube, and the internet at moderndadhood.com.
On that website, you can send us an email using the contact form. Let us know a topic you want to hear about or a guest you would like for us to invite. You can also just email us at hey@moderndadhood.com. It's far too late to buy a Modern Dadhood t-shirt or dad hoodie for Father's Day, but you could still buy one and give it to a dad in your life and say, you know what, this is late, but better late than never. The dad hoodies are very soft.
Just hand it over to your dad, pal, and just go, preach.
Thank you to Casper Baby Pants and Spencer Albee for the music in our show. Thanks to my own dad, Tom Flaherty, for his willingness to humor me in having this conversation. Mark, thank you for being my partner in crime on this whole thing. I hope you have an awesome Father's Day, and I hope all of our guests have an awesome Father's Day too.
Same here. And yeah, hey, thanks you. Thanks you.
Thanks
you. Hey, thanks right back to you, Adam. You know what? Preach. And
I think you just started something new.
And with that, I'd like to say thank you for listening.